after.
Midnight.
That was horrible.
That was...
Okay, Dalton's claps are better.
What? Did I do it?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm tired of getting my computer back. Yeah, quit clapping, man.
No, it's fine.
Well, I know like 8 types of claps.
You said that last week.
I'm just playing, man.
That would have been funny.
Every single time, because I've listened. That was actually the first podcast we recorded.
Oh,
and
yeah.
every time I listen to that episode, which is often, because obviously, like anybody else that wants to go on camera and talk, I just love the attention. So anytime I hear it, though, I'm always like, man, I really should learn to be one of those people that thinks before they speak.
I think we're also in the stage of like reforming things.
Yeah.
Like, I think every show goes through that period. Like, no pilot episode is what the show ends up being.
Right.
It's always just like, well, this character didn't work out, so they're not coming back for season 2.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, that's actually a very strong point, because Grace had to beg me to watch The Office, because I watched the first episode,
right,
and I love Steve Carell.
Yeah.
I fucking hated Michael Scott.
Yes.
I did. I hated him at
because he was a
first.
dick the whole first
And
season.
he had this like nasty, greasy slick back hair.
I know,
and I told her,
yeah.
I was like, I don't want to fucking watch this.
Yeah.
And she begged me to get past it. And now, honestly, I think it's probably one of the best shows ever created. I think it is. It's a genius show.
It is. But you would never find that genius unless you sat through the first season.
Right.
Which is almost hard to even imagine that audience was there for that, because of how sort of like chauvinistic and small-minded everyone is in the first season.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about, when you say small-minded, what do you mean? Like the jokes that they tend to use?
Well, not even that. And I don't mean it like that they were crass in any way.
Right.
I mean more so like just... I hate to pick on... I'm going to. Whatever. It's Will Ferrell humor.
Fuck him.
Which is the same as Chris Farley humor, which I don't appreciate.
So you say it's cheap?
There's no punchline. There's no...
Well, it's dry then. It's dry comedy.
But no, it's not even like comedy in like a theory sense. Like, it's not even comedy in the way that like this is funny, like 1, 2, 3. It's more like making fun of a very small demographic of people, which I think was interesting that they found a fan base for. Because I know the one in England did really well.
Oh yeah, well I mean Ricky Gervais.
Right, but think about that. It's a little bit more Japanese in the sense, like culturally, that everyone sort of has a corporate job. That's kind of more the norm there than it is here. And
very white shirt, black tie.
Yeah. And here it's more so like, even if you are gonna go work for a company like that, I would say that you'd be hard pressed to find people that necessarily relate to that boring of a sales job, unless you are literally that person. And yeah, sure, there's probably like a good 500,000 people that would be associated with that particular line of work. But the jokes that they were able to pull out of that for the first season were not like these universally funny things. It was very specific and honestly really just like masculine humor for the most part. There wasn't like a whole lot of like back and forth with Pam or Angela yet. It was
well, between that and like cheap racism,
right?
Which
it's
honestly,
Michael Scott being sexist and racist. That's what the first season is.
I mean, okay, and maybe I mean, look, I don't want to sound like a piece of shit or anything, but maybe I find that funny because I've seen the entire series through
right
and through.
Yeah,
and I think,
well, and looking back, it's funny in the rhetorical sense, having gotten through the rest of it.
And even Steve Carell himself has said that show would never have gotten off the ground in this climate. Like it just wouldn't have. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a terrible thing, but one of the like funniest, worst jokes in that show, aside.
Let's hear it.
Like, dude, whenever he's sitting there and he's talking to Stanley, and I can't remember the exact circumstance,
right?
So I'm just gonna kind of like bullshit it a little bit, but he's essentially like,
paraphrase.
How about you bring the collard greens? And Stanley,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. He's
you
like,
mean collard greens?
You mean collard? He goes, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
you don't call them collard people.
Yeah.
Dude, it's cheap, but that's fucking funny, man.
Yeah, well, and that's a good example of like a 1, 2, 3 comedy setup. Something that actually makes sense.
I know
like
nothing about
the vein of comedy.
Anything. Music theory, comedy theory. I don't know shit about any.
You know more music theory than you want to let on. That's just true, because you write things that are too complex for you to not understand music theory.
I feel like I've never written anything complex a day in my life.
That's not true, though, because you use a capo all the time. That already requires a lot of theory, because what you're doing is moving the guitar neck up 3 steps, or 4 steps, or 2 steps. And that's shifting the tuning of the entire instrument. I mean, you have to have some level of theory in order to go, okay, a capo would be better because what I'm doing is transposing this chord position into a different key with a different note.
Man, that's why you're such an important part of this team, is because you know like all the words and all the ways to describe stuff. And when I go back and I listen to the first episode, I'm serious. I feel like I'm just here. I'm making up words sometimes, dude. I said at one point, I said, man, you have to have a trajectional path. And that sounds like a real word.
It could.
I Googled it.
It's not.
It's not a real word. And you just let it slide, man. You were just like, good job, buddy. Proud of you for trying.
I feel like every time
Didn't let me slide on geologist, though.
Sorry. See, I don't want to be like the pretentious asshole either, but...
No, I love it, because I want to be educated. I mean, we're putting this on the fucking air, you know what I mean? This is on the internet, dude. Everybody's going to comment and be like, Jesus. What the fuck is this kid doing here?
I don't know. I guess... there's no... I make noises.
You make a lot of noises.
I make a lot of noises.
We love you for it.
Yeah, I'm my own sound effects.
That's all you need, man. You ad-lib yourself, dude. It takes one less person out of the equation.
That's fair, I guess.
You got to be your own audience.
I have been for a long time.
Yeah, I'm my own audience. I know that this is going to off-kilter us a little bit, but it just makes me think. Dude, Grace and I, one time we were in an argument. Like,
let's open that up.
I know this is like way in outfield, but... We had an argument one time, and like I'm trying to be funny during the argument. You know what I mean?
Oh, you can't ever do that.
Well, I do it all the time.
I know you do.
She hates it. And I'm not like mean.
No,
or anything,
it's just.
And she like
you're
stopped.
such a sarcastic person.
Yeah, she like stopped and she like looked at me and she was like, "Who are you doing this for?"
And where is the...
dude, she literally did. I like stopped in my tracks. I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "I am the only person here, dude. Nobody is in the audience watching you make these jokes. I'm the only person here. I'm the person you're talking to. I'm the person that's arguing with you, and you're not doing a good job." Yeah. And I was like, "Oof." Yeah, she hit me with, "You're not a fucking comedian."
I know. I see.
That's the main reason why I want to get on stage now for an open mic night.
Oh, that would be so great.
Now I am a comedian.
So that happens with me in Poem too, but in a different way. She always gets on to me because like I'll point out something that either her or myself have done, and I'm like, I always like make it out to be a bigger issue than it actually is. And my justification is always, well, what if someone had heard you? Or what if someone had heard me? We can't be thought of as people that say that things like that. And like,
you don't want to be dumb.
But it'll be like mid-argument. And she'll be like, I'm the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
There's no one else here to misrepresent the information.
Right.
She always tells me I argue like a lawyer because I'm trying to like prove the point to other people that are non-existent.
Dude, I hate this type of person, and I think it's because I am this person. If you tell me something, bro, I will Google fact check you in a heartbeat. Yeah. I will Google your ass. I'll be like, is that right? She told me the other night. She was like, you know who you are? I was like, who? And she was like, you're the... Actually. Yeah. And she did it in that voice. And I was like, son of a bitch, I am. What am I going to do? I'm going to get mad about that? Absolutely not. Because I am that person. Well, wish I wasn't, but I am.
I think that's a good thing, though.
It's mixed. It depends on who you're talking to in the context of the conversation.
Well, I think people like you and me in this day and age.
You and I.
Sure. I always do that. That's one grammatical thing that I'm really poor with.
Everybody does it.
That, and I say theater instead of
theater.
Yeah, instead of theater.
They sound the same when you say it, though.
I know.
Say them both.
Theater
and
theater.
They
theater.
Listen, you might notice that you're saying it differently, but anybody else in conversation with you would be like, "Yeah, you said the same word twice."
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I had a chick stop talking to me over grammar one time.
Really?
I told Poem about this the other day, and she laughed. Because, like, this is the most petty reason to stop talking to someone.
Because I got one for you. Go ahead.
Good. So I was this was back when I first went to college when I was 18, so years ago. Probably 6 years ago now.
Missed out on that experience.
You know. It's not for everybody, nor should it be. Yeah. It's mostly...
I wish I could have done the social part of it, though.
That's
being honest with you.
That's what everyone says, but you did the social part.
Well, I did the social part because I knew people in college, so I still went to the college parties.
Well,
but
even more so, you did enough house parties, which is the exact same thing.
Dude, we could have a whole episode on house parties,
yes.
man. Murfreesboro used to have a killer house show scene.
I know.
But I digress. Yes. Let's go back into what you were saying.
Which was?
It's when you were first in college.
Oh, yeah. So...
Thank God I remember it because I almost didn't.
That was good. So when I was first in college, I knew this girl from, like, church group, I think, from, like, forever ago. And she started going to the same college, and I was like, we met up, not intentionally, but, like, we ran into each other a few times. And we started, like, flirting on Instagram, and then that went to, like, me getting her number. And we kept going for a while. And all of a sudden, she just stops talking to me. She's like, ghosts me completely.
Yeah.
And like a couple weeks go by, and I'm like, all right, I get the picture. But like, I was kind of into her. Like,
right.
Let's see why this stopped.
You at least want some like reason.
Some analysis on the situation.
Right. Some closure, if you will.
Right. So I texted her, and I went, hey, I kind of caught the drift that like we were done talking, but like, I was just wondering, like, did I say anything? Like, am I just like not your type? Like what put you off about me? And she just responded, you use commas instead of periods when you text, and I can't fucking stand that.
Damn.
And never said anything else to me again.
Damn. So she quit talking to you because of your grammar.
Right.
Oof.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
man.
Really? Like, over some commas? This is your standard is like get the grammar right when you're texting or you don't speak to me?
Oh, you mad about the commas in a sentence, but when you see the commas in a bank account, you ain't got no problem. The fuck is that about?
I mean,
look,
that's the way of the world, though.
I'm like vice versa. I am her, but in a different way. So like,
okay,
I never gave a fuck about school, right?
Right.
At all.
Good.
But when I text, it looks like I'm writing an essay. I use periods, exclamation points when they're necessary.
It's true, you do.
Question marks. I use commas. I guess she wouldn't have talked to me either.
I mean, switch it out for a colon occasionally. Might have been on.
I used, in the first time in my life, I used a semicolon the other day.
They're very useful.
It clicked in my brain. Windows are necessary.
This is a thing.
I was like, I could use one of those right now because I'm not ready to end the sentence.
Right.
But a comma's not necessary.
Right.
Semicolon.
Yeah. Because a colon for sure is not necessary.
Right. Well, and it stops it from being a run-on sentence.
Right.
From a little symbol.
Yeah.
Great.
It's beautiful.
So, but
English has a lot of grammatical tools like that.
It's got to be a hard fucking language to learn. But
the syntax makes sense though.
Quit talking to girls before. I'm talking, and listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say I have any excuse to be picky. I tell people the same thing. I have been batting out of my league since '95. You know what I'm saying? Ever since I came out the womb, hey, I've been swinging.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hit.
Sometimes
I miss. But I still be swinging. So I gotta
play the numbers game.
I've had solid 8s, 9s, and I'll text them, and if they text a certain way, I'll just stop talking to them. If you're too bothered to spell out a word and you want to abbreviate everything, or instead of spelling two, you put the number two.
2.
And I'm not talking about TWO. I'm saying me too.
Right.
And you put 2.
Yeah.
I ain't texting you back.
No, that's gross.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man.
But
I really do.
It's not because
I really do.
It's not because it's not legible. It's not because
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't care anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. There's like a hood ratness about that I can't deal with.
It's just lazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's just cheap and it's lazy. And I'm holding people to the same standard that I hold myself to, which isn't fair all the time.
No, it is.
But for example, you were super into that girl. She seemed like a good girl.
Yeah.
You were me in that situation.
Fine. Yeah.
You use commas. You structure your sentences the way that they should be structured, and she wasn't into it.
Yeah.
And so that just shows you the differing opinions. Where I would stop talking to somebody because they don't do that. She stopped talking to you because you did do that.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, that doesn't make us right.
No.
But I'll tell you what, it doesn't make them right. You know
no,
what I mean?
not at all.
At least one of us is correct at the end of this.
That was what I was going to say, is like neither really are correct in the situation, because all you're doing is playing a silly game of pride. All you're doing is...
It's such a weird thing to like be so picky about communication too. Like it's all just...
Well, but we do that all the time
it's all
as
just
people.
Like pictures, you know what I mean? It's just like these little shapes, and we're judging people based on the shapes that they use to communicate. I understood you perfectly fine based on the shape that you used, but I disagree with the way that you used that shape.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, we do that with art constantly.
Yeah, I've seen shit sell for $200,000 that I wouldn't pay $2 for.
Right. Yeah. But think about that. What? Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a slightly different twist on what I was going to say.
Okay.
What is your definition of art?
I think art is... It's going to sound super generic, because it is. But I think it's essentially just an expression of oneself. I mean, art can literally be anything, right? So, like, if you're going to create something that didn't exist, right? So if you take something that didn't exist and you put it in a format that people can... see or hear.
Well, you've just added 2 stipulations to that, because now we have medium, which is important,
right,
as well as creation being a part of it,
right.
Whereas if you were to broadly label art as anything that's self-expressive, language would be included in that, and creativity is not necessarily attributed to everyday speech. However, everyday speech is self-expressive.
Well, I tell you what, man, I guess I am a little bit more strict than that, because I've heard some people say some dumb shit. Yeah. I'm like, man, ain't nothing artistic about that.
So that
only thing's artistic about that is the fact that you got it out somehow. Right. Like, I mean, the effort that went into you fucking it up that bad.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. So that's kind of like, in a sense, I guess where I was getting with that is like, if you are going to define. If you're going to define art, you have to put the right stipulations into place. And I would be willing to say that what makes that $200,000 painting that you wouldn't pay $2 for art is the fact that it has viewership.
Well, and I'm not saying it's not art. I'm not saying it's not art.
Right.
I'm just saying I've seen paintings go for $200,000 that you could compare to somebody you know. Right. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people that paint. I know a lot of people that sketch. Nobody would pay $200,000 for their painting.
Would you pay anything for it? Would you look at it if you weren't prompted to?
I guess that's kind of hard to answer, because I'm not the type of person that goes out of my way to look at art in general, and so I probably wouldn't see it if I wasn't friends with them and didn't follow them on social media.
Right. Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm not in the position.
Here's like a classic example, right? So a kid's painting that's hung on the refrigerator is on display and does have some type of audience, even if it is just in the family setting.
Right.
Would you consider that to be art or arts and crafts?
I would say art.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I would say art. I would say anytime anybody, regardless of age. I mean, anytime somebody consciously, I think that's important.
Yes.
Anytime somebody consciously puts pen to paper or
Yeah.
crayon to paper, what the fuck ever,
Right.
a writing utensil to paper, and they set out to create something.
Yeah.
I would say that's art. I mean, even if
Yes.
even if it is just squiggles, even if you're 30 years old and
Yeah.
you're putting just squiggles on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
technically, yes, it's art.
Yes.
Do I want to pay $200,000 for it?
Yeah.
No.
Not even a
But
little
I
bit.
also don't care to spend $2,000 on a shirt just because it says Louis Vuitton.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're paying for name almost at a certain point.
So my point further on that particular piece, and I'm glad that you touched on that, is what is the difference between art and consumerism? Because I would say, and I would reckon, that writing is just writing until it has an audience. A painting is just a picture until it has an audience.
Right.
It has to become art because other people have deemed it so.
Thank you, because that is actually something I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was whatever you said, and I'm really bad about this. I already had it locked in my head where I was going to be like, the funny thing is, I could theoretically create the most beautiful painting.
Yes.
God himself could say, this is the most beautiful painting. But if the right person didn't say that it was,
Right.
nobody would spend a cent on it.
True.
But then somebody could puncture a hole in a spray paint can and throw it at a canvas,
Right.
and whatever swirl it makes, that same, person could be like, this is art.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
Blows up.
every millionaire in the world's like, I want it.
Right.
What?
Well, and that's the classic, like, Jackson Pollock example.
Who's the hidden artist? What's his name? Blinksy or
Oh, Banksy?
Banksy.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Banksy.
Oh, boy.
No.
We're pissing off Banksy this episode.
No. I no disrespect to Banksy.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of his work. A lot of it. It's very interesting.
It's very political.
It's very interesting. It's very political, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you really boil it down, it's very simplistic.
Yeah.
It's very simplistic.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of intricacy that goes into that.
True.
And his shit sells for,
Yeah.
I mean, insane numbers.
Well, but also, it's not physical in the way that you can own it, per se. There
the
are only
one
prints of it.
was.
Oh, well, yeah.
And then they bought it and he shredded it.
Yeah. Which, baller.
Fucking dude. Collapse all around.
Yes.
Because that is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, yes.
Or, who's the squiggly guy? The guy that literally does the big fat black paint marker.
Oh.
And he's constantly just doing
Yeah.
Mr. Doodle. Is that his
Yeah.
name? Mr. Doodle?
I think so.
It's something like
I know
that.
who you're talking about.
He's the doodle guy.
Yeah.
It's-
Literally.
all of it looks the exact same.
Well, I mean, look at John Lennon's paintings. They go for millions, and they are worse than Sunday cartoon paper drawings. They're bad. They're bad. I mean, they're cute, but they're cute. That's
right.
That would be the way I would describe it.
Like if a fifth grader did it, you'd be like, "That's great."
Yes.
That's. So
I'd be like,
great.
"Oh, you might have some potential."
Eventually.
Right. Yes.
That's funny.
Stick to the songs, man.
Yeah,
But-
dude. Hey, killer singer, killer songwriter.
Yes.
So is his wife.
Sure.
Oh man.
So, to use your example, though, of the Louis Vuitton thing,
Right.
would you consider that art? Because it is a medium. It was created,
It's art.
but it's also an item. It's also legitimately a what's the word? It's a product.
Yeah, I mean it's 100% a product.
But it's only a product.
It's art, but it's not Louis Vuitton's art at that point.
Right.
Right. So like I separate
Well, not that
I separate the company from the artist, right?
Right,
Because
yeah.
whoever came up with that design, which was not the CEO
No.
of Louis Vuitton,
No. It's whoever's the head of the fashion house at that point, which
that's their art. Whoever
Yeah.
pitched that idea to say, "Hey, we should do this," that's their art. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is art. It is art.
So would you just to further clarify, just because I'm always interested in defining art more, just because
And
it's-
I'm like the least qualified person
Well,
to talk about art.
But the whole thing about us
Mm-hmm.
and this podcast and what we're always working on together is trying to further art, especially the local art community.
100%, yeah.
And I think that it's really integral, especially when you're working in such a small space as a local art community, that you define what art is. Because if you don't have any sort of standardized definition of it, what you end up getting is sort of what you have in New York, which is just like performance art
right
running rampant, which is really just a lot of people with no talent. But they got the balls to go out there and try something.
Listen, that does take a lot right there.
It does, but it's more along the lines of something that like a Daredevil might do.
Right.
It's like a Jackass stunt.
Like a TikTok dancer, for example. I don't have the balls. I don't give a fuck how much money they're making. I don't have the balls. It's not art. No, it's not art.
And creation, though.
It is. I get what you're saying, and I know, but at a certain point, it's not creation; it's recreation,
right?
Because they're all doing the exact same dance, and so like, but it does take balls to, in public, do that, and a lot of them do. They'll be on like the busiest street because they know that it makes them like look cool or whatever. It's a cool shot, but it's very fucking cringy, and like I wouldn't be able to do it personally.
Yeah,
but while I don't consume that content,
right?
I do at a certain point have to go, well, this person, their lack of social awareness or their lack of care for social awareness
probably more so what it is
applause worthy to a degree.
Or appalling.
Or appalling, yeah.
Either one. So as a caveat to that statement, you remember when Martin Scorsese said that the Marvel films are not films or cinema?
Yes. Which...
Well, I would say that by the definition you just used, I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly because...
It's a recreation.
Well, and it's not just a recreation. Even more so, it's almost like a patronization of film theory. Because when you get to a certain level in Hollywood, and this is something they really don't teach you unless you're in film school, there's a narrative styling and format that if you don't comply to, you pretty much can't get your film sold. And that's like basic writing principles in the fact that like they would require like the 12 points of a narrative, sort of the whole like hero's journey Star Wars thing.
Right.
Beyond that, though, what they have is a differential between things that they would consider to be an art film or a high concept piece. What a high concept piece is it's a concept that they have already sold before and they are able to resell. Also, have you ever noticed, and it's more apparent on older like DVDs and stuff like that, every trailer before a movie would be 3 versions of not only the same movie, but pretty much the same movie as what you're about to watch.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Well,
you know why that happens, though.
Yeah, it's because they're selling seasons of certain types of film. And if one works, the other ones don't. But that's okay because they had one that
It's
worked.
almost like several production companies get to view the same script. One of them buys it. The other one says, I'll do one essentially just like it. I mean, and because I looked it up. Because I was curious about that.
But it's beneficial for them.
It is.
Because even if one fails and is a total flop, the only people that are really losing any money are the actors on that.
And the only thing that comes to mind as a perfect example for people who may not know exactly what we're talking about is Friends with Benefits.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which is a great movie. It's a great movie.
And
Love Justin Timberlake. And no strings attached. Look at you, my boy. They came out, if I'm not wrong, the same year, right?
Same year.
Yeah, and so there for a while that was happening a lot.
Yeah.
That was happening a lot where that was going on. But before we get too far and I forget this question.
Yes.
I think this is a very important question. You graduated from film school.
Yes.
I want to know if anybody ever asked you this in film school first off.
Okay.
And if not, I feel like this is a good question.
Okay.
I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, man, I feel like my biggest gripe with where we are in cinema is when is the last time a movie was made that you wholeheartedly believe is going to stand the test of time? Because every movie seems like a cheap thrill, right? Because when's the last time we had a Good Will Hunting or a Shawshank Redemption or a Goodfellas? I mean, I would say Interstellar is good enough to stand the test of time. I would say Inception is good enough to stand the test of time.
And Memento.
And what?
Memento.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's probably the best Nolan film.
I don't know if I've seen that. I will have to fucking watch that. Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch that.
Yeah.
But like, when's the last time we had something like that? Because like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, when you were getting like Good Will Hunting and Seven, and you were getting like all these like crazy good movies, like Shutter Island. That's a great movie. I just hit the table.
Martin
so hard. I'm
Scorsese.
so sorry. Shutter Island, great movie.
Yeah.
But nowadays, 90% of what we're getting is like these comedy action or Marvel or, you know, just these like cheap, you go, you have a good evening. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with ever going to the theater or movie theater and you know, watching something to take your mind off of the day to day. That's not a bad thing. And if you can put out a movie that makes people happy, that's great.
It's wonderful.
That's great. But I just feel like we don't have those like, and maybe it's because we're in this time. And so maybe, you know, a 27-year-old 30 years from now will be like, oh, well, did you watch Glass Onion?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm not even trying to shit on those movies, the Knives Out movies. Like,
oh, the first one was great. I haven't seen the second one.
I'm not into them that much.
It's fair. Well, not everyone's like a whodunit fan either.
Right. You know, not everybody wants to play a game of Clue while they're...
Right.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
Well, I
but
love
not
Clue,
everyone
though.
likes
I love
that.
murder mystery.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. And
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. And honestly, that's...
I've not seen Glass Onion yet.
I haven't seen Glass Onion yet either. But, the Knives Out franchise, maybe realistically,
too.
right now... Yeah, it is. And never mind. I was going to say, speaking of, I need to watch Bullet Train, too.
Me too.
Have you seen it?
Not yet.
We should watch it together.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd love that.
Because I've heard it's great.
I have too.
And you know...
My mom went and saw it and said it was amazing.
I never knew. I know you know this, obviously. I never knew. Oh, wait. No. So what is... there goes the ADD brain, ADHD, whatever. What do you think, in your opinion, is like the most recent movie that you can think of? Most recent movie that you can think of where you're like, you know what? That could be considered damn near a masterpiece.
So I wanna answer this in twofold.
Okay.
Because the answer is not that long ago. But not in the way that...
I'm interested.
Okay, so here we go. Twofold answer.
Twilight.
I do love Twilight.
I love Twilight too.
So the first portion of it, and you hit the nail on the head with the 90s. Everyone still, at this point in time, pretty much considers the 90s to be the golden age of American cinema. And the reason that is because in the 60s, you had a lot of art house films and a lot of gothic horror coming in from mostly Europe and England. You had a lot of British films that were sort of like vampire, cult, nudity-heavy exploitation films.
Right.
70s...
It was like shock and awe.
Right.
Yeah.
70s tamed it back a little bit, and what they came up with was sort of like the anti-hero thing, which is classic examples are like The French Connection, Death... can't remember the name of it. The first Charles Bronson movie. You have things like all the real famous exploitation films like Shaft and stuff like that. You have movies like The Sting, which are really well acted but sort of like slow paced and drab. Then you move into the 80s, which is just chauvinistic, masculine, action hero centric. Not a lot of substance per se.
Well, between that and High School Life.
Right. Yeah. You get the John Hughes movies, which are great for a laugh and extremely well written.
Yeah.
But they're popcorn flicks.
Absolutely.
Then you move into the 90s. Now we have, for the first time since maybe the early 60s and the 50s, when we had like, or honestly 30s through the 50s, because we had things like Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, and then we moved into sort of like the 40s period, which would have been like Citizen Kane and some other like really huge touchstone moments. And then you move into the 50s where you have things like All About Eve and like, you know, different sort of like romantic dramas and things like that are all considered sort of like Shakespearean level cinema, if you will. Moving into the 90s, though, we finally get back our auteurship, which an auteur is the film definition of like what a master painter would be. That's kind of the differential. You can be a director, but to be an auteur, you have to be at a certain level to be accepted as that effectively. And we got some auteurship with people like Quentin Tarantino. in the 1990s. Here's why that's so integral to where we are now with cinema. And we did this years ago in the 60s and 70s as well. What we did was we took our best people. We made them last as long as they could.
Yeah.
Tarantino's almost done. Martin Scorsese is a dinosaur. All the people who have any real influence or any real pride in the cinematic art form are really at the end of their life as far as the career goes. And because of that, what we're getting are some masterful movies, but a lot of Nepo babies that are going, well, let's get 5 or 6 writers together. You and me and this other guy will direct this, and we'll all make money off of it.
Right.
And what you get is movies like Daddy's Home and stuff like that, where it's just like goofy Xerox of a Xerox movie that short term means great money and success. Long term means depreciating value. So what's happened is the international films have taken over that auteurship.
Really?
So America is definitely not the front runner of cinema right now in any means. In fact, I would say the Koreans and the Japanese probably have the biggest foothold on it right now.
Really? Which is crazy because people used to come from different nations to come over here to act.
And I would say that it's almost exactly the opposite right now.
So I think it's funny that you bring up Daddy's Home real quick because I haven't even thought about that movie for a while. Right. But I will say...
Ted's another example. That kind of stuff.
I will say when they came out, it's funny.
Right.
It's funny. It's
but
great.
They appreciate.
Right. It's funny, you get a laugh, and then you forget about it.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that it wasn't worth creating.
No.
It's just not going to stand the test of time.
It's not cinema in the way that we have historically come to know cinema. Yes. Honestly, so Parasite is my answer. 2019, first time a Korean film or any international film won the American award for Best Picture. And I think that's really telling of where we're going with film. Is that
it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
I need to watch it.
So good. It's almost 3 hours long, but don't let that throw you off because the first time I sat and watched it, it felt like 30 minutes had gone by.
Didn't we have a movie that was similar to that over here? Wasn't there one where there was like this crazy outbreak and...
Well, it's not about a parasite. It's not like a medical thing.
Okay.
Parasite is an allegory for the family that comprises the cast of characters.
Okay.
Because they are like leeches to another family.
Right. Okay.
Which makes it really interesting because it's not really about any one thing in particular. It's like a series of unfortunate events falling like dominoes. And I think that's what makes it so masterful, is that the plot almost feels improvised, but it's so well written that you accept it as a higher form of art than improvisation could be. But I can't think of anything that even rivals Parasite that's come out since then. I mean, we're in 2023 right now.
Yeah, I mean, what got me thinking about it is actually you and I talking about our favorite movies. And funny enough, I never realized who my favorite actor was until you and I started talking.
It's Brad Pitt.
It's Brad Pitt.
It's Brad Pitt.
It is. It's look,
I do.
It's Brad Pitt. I had no idea. I knew that I always loved Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
But I also love Johnny Depp. You know what I mean?
Did you see the thing that came out with Courtney Love about Brad Pitt the other day?
No.
He was optioned to play Kurt Cobain in a movie.
Really?
And Courtney Love...
Was this recent?
I don't know. But she made
he's
this...
He's like 60 now.
I know.
So playing,
She made this statement recently. I think it was a long time ago when... Probably early 2000s, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith era.
Right.
She basically... Her statement was, you make... I don't want to misquote her too badly. I'm going to paraphrase.
Yeah.
I think what she told him was, you make humanitarian movies, but I have no reason to believe in you as a person. And if you don't like me, then you wouldn't have liked Kurt, so you can't play him.
Damn.
But what I think is funny about that is that she calls his movies humanitarian films.
Does he, I mean, I guess I'm not up on the gossip, but does he like not like her?
I think that...
Is that like
well, they were in a movie together, and I think he just was like a little off put by her the same way everyone else has always been, because Courtney Love seems to suck as a human being.
Right. Well, there's a couple of them.
So I just, to me, it's not weird that he doesn't like her. It's weird, though, that she thinks that his movies are in any way, shape, or form humanitarian films. I get it that he's a humanitarian. He's done a lot of charitable things.
Right.
Has nothing to do with his movies, though.
I wouldn't say that has anything to do with his movies. Because if you look at his catalog, like he's...
Early 2000s and late 90s, Fight Club, Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
right.
Mr. Black, Oceans, all the Oceans movies, Snatched. Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
come on, great movie. Just watched that one the other night.
Great movie.
Yeah,
none of these are humanitarian films.
No,
I don't know that she knew she was talking.
I don't even know she knows what the word humanitarian means.
Heroin.
Right. Well, but I had no idea that he was my favorite actor until you and I started talking about it one day, and you're like, "Well, what are your favorite movies?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess when it falls into the drama category, like."
Oh, it's Meet Joe Black, not Mr. Black. Yeah.
Meet Joe Black. Dude, I'm telling you what, I will not spend 3 hours watching the new Avatar movie. I would spend 9 hours watching Meet Joe Black, and that's watching it 3 times. Like, it's a long fucking movie.
Interesting about that, too, is a lot of people consider that movie to be too slow-paced for its
Meet Joe Black?
Yeah.
Really?
But I don't think so at all.
I think it builds perfectly.
I do, too. I
think it builds perfectly. I don't think there's anything that could have been changed.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, to make it better. I think that it is beautifully written.
Yeah.
But I mean, even outside of that, I mean...
The ragdoll effect of him getting hit by the car and then flopping onto the other car, they could have done a little bit better on that.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to get to the nitty gritty, but, it is what it is.
He just looks like a salmon after a minute.
I obviously, I love that movie. And just like every other cliche person... Well, I mean, everybody loves Seven. Who the fuck doesn't love Seven? Well, I mean, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt.
Of course, there's the...
Come on.
The one glaring cancer in that cast.
Which sucks because he's such a good actor.
He was, for sure.
But
I don't even...
After you come out and you say, yeah, I could have done that when I was drunk, and it refers to sleeping with a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, it's really awful.
You can't nonchalantly brush that off. Like, I was drinking a lot back then. Like, buddy, you were 30-something, though. He was 30-something, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ruined his career, rightfully so.
100%.
Rightfully so.
And rightfully
terrible
so.
person.
But he also was not doing as well acting wise at that point. I know that he won some good stuff for House of Cards, but Jesus
Fuck House of Cards. Fuck House of Cards. That movie, honestly.
Well, a show. But first of all, a lot of people don't know this. Not an original concept. At all. It's based off of a Chinese film series.
It's fucking boring.
Actually,
man.
A Japanese film series.
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring. It's one of those shows where I feel like anytime I've ever tried to watch it, I had to force myself to watch it because everybody else loved it. And I was like, why do they love it? I guess I'll try. It's
have to...
fucking good.
I mean, at some point, you should watch the originals.
And maybe the originals. Really good. So at what point...
It came out
I don't even want to ask that question actually yet. It's just gonna spiral off into so much. I was gonna say at what point I'm gonna say it and then let's put it on the back burner for a second. At what point do you separate the artist from the art? Because I'm just gonna Kevin Spacey is a great actor.
Yeah,
great actor.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah,
real piece of shit human.
Well, so short and sweet answer, I think Jimmy Savile is a great example. Do you know who that is?
He's the one that did Jeepers Creepers, right?
No, but that's another good example.
What was that guy's name? Jimmy something, right?
I don't remember. But yeah,
Jim, you keep going.
It Jim Jarmusch? No, that's that's a good director.
No,
I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I'm sorry, Jim Jarmusch. You're a good person. So Jimmy Savile was a BBC British television host who would just he
oh my god, yes,
the crazy white hair guy.
I know who you're talking about.
So he got famous
Victor Salva is the Jeepers Creepers director. All right, go ahead.
Who is a total pedophile.
Who is a total pedophile. Real piece of shit.
Convicted
and
multiple
Hollywood
times.
still lets him work.
I know.
Never even turned a blind eye to him.
I know.
Never even like canceled him. They were just like, yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Granted, that was before cancel culture, but still.
Even more so. The reason they do it is because his movies don't gross enough for them to care. That's literally what it is. He doesn't make enough money for them to care.
He makes enough to pay rent in Hollywood.
For him, yes.
Yeah, and they're like,
that's it.
Right.
We'll let you work.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jimmy Savile was a...
it's the Savile. That's what fucked me up.
Yeah. He's really famous just for like charity. Like he opened a bunch of children's hospitals and did all these like 10K runs. And
they're always great people on the surface.
Until it came out after he died that he was like distributing CP and taking advantage of the disabled children in the hospitals.
For those of you who don't know, CP stands for... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, I mean... I think when it becomes a crime against humanity, that's when you differentiate. Because, like, for instance...
Fair enough. And let's not go too deep. I don't want your for instance because I'm scared of where it's going to go.
Fair enough.
So let's just leave it at when it comes against crimes against humanity, we separate the artist from the art.
Yes.
Because there is somebody who committed great crimes against humanity.
Yes.
I mean, a lot.
Yes.
Who was an artist.
Yep.
And
is still sitting in a Romanian prison.
Wasn't even talking about him. All right, chill out.
I'm sorry.
We can't talk about him every podcast.
I literally just could not help.
It was good. It was good. Now, the guy I'm thinking of probably died, but maybe didn't. Maybe he escaped.
I really don't. I wouldn't consider him an artist.
He absolutely is an artist. Are you kidding me?
We might not be thinking of the same person. I was thinking of Epstein.
Oh. Well, I was thinking of somebody a little bit older. Died in a bunker.
Oh.
That's an artist. He was an artist. He sold art.
True.
Or I don't know if he sold it, but his art sells for a lot nowadays. And his art is objectively beautiful.
So, just to fact check, he did not die in that bunker. You ever seen that show? Well, yes, but I'm not even talking about that. The only evidence that we know of for him dying in that bunker was a fracture of a skull fragment.
Who are we talking
about? They found. And that skull fragment came out to be an 80-year-old woman.
Did it really?
Yep.
I had no knowledge of that.
That's been proven for several years now.
So that was one of the strongest points that I ever heard of where do we separate the artist from the artist. Because, so like Jordan Peterson, I don't agree with a lot of what
Love his beard.
Well, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he pushes, but I think he is...
I feel like he's a fairly benign individual.
He's interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of... I think he has more good than he does bad.
Oh, 100%.
I think he has a lot more good than he does bad.
I don't think he's got an ill will in his body.
I'm not saying he has an ill will.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he has an ill will. I'm saying sometimes passion and arguments can
flare up
and make you say... They almost make you go to the extreme in certain circumstances. And I've seen him go to the extreme in certain circumstances. And...
Yeah.
You know, but I don't dislike Jordan Peterson by any means.
No, I mean, same could be said with any number of
and he was a big proponent of that. He got in a conversation and was like, listen, where do we separate the artist from the artist? Because if you take somebody with as big of a name as the person we're talking about, we're not even going to say his name. No.
Rudolph Inhaler.
Right. Rudolph Inhaler. So if you take someone like that, obviously one of the worst humans that could have ever been birthed into existence.
Him and Caligula are like kind of neck and neck.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But did do like some artistic shit.
Yeah.
and it looked good.
He's an author.
I mean, well, he is an author.
God.
I'm gonna leave you to struggle with a one-man conversation on that subject.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with Rudolph and Haler. I'll be right back.
I'm so excited about this.
Sorry, you'll make it work.
I'm gonna bring up a different subject.
Do that.
Okay. Let's see if there's something that I can just speak on my own for a handful of moments. Well, I'll bring up something that I think that I've been personally wanting to talk about for a minute, which is that I have a hard time at this point in history trying to differentiate the difference. And I'm taking a minute to get here, and you'll understand in a moment, because it's a fairly broad concept, which is how to differentiate a figure that you respect and an idol. Because I think that they are intrinsically two different things. You don't have to idolize someone to respect them. You don't have to put them at some mythological level in order for them to be important. But at a certain point, I think you have to sort of differentiate, is this person an influence? Is this person a rival in the way that you hope to someday look at them as more of a peer instead of someone to be influenced by? Is it someone that you find worth taking some influences from and then disregarding some others? And in today's world especially, I feel that there is so much, well, it's almost like there's been a revival of guru culture, which I think is so funny, because everything you see in the media nowadays really is targeted towards the individual and being more of an individualist and being more on that sort of Jack Kerouac train of like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to take no prisoners, and I'm just going to go out and do whatever I want. Now, the thing is, though, what we find is the more freedom you give individuals, the more they like to separate themselves into certain groups and follow certain people and certain ideas. So where do we differentiate the individual who aspires to be like someone and a guru, someone who is to be believed and someone who is to be accepted without any reproach? Because I feel like that's the kind of culture that's coming back. We've given people so much freedom for so long, and people have taken that and used it to develop their own individual selves. But now we found that sort of on the other side of all of that freedom, you're still just looking for someone to tell you that you're doing the right thing, some sort of approval from a higher form of power, which I think we're giving over to too many people right now. We're giving it over to the Joe Rogans and the Jordan Petersons. We're saying, okay, you're the internet daddy that tells me how to live my life. And
well, I think in this day and age, with what we have going on, this climate, I think it's honestly hard in the first place to be a guru or a role model or whatever you want to boil it down to, because there's
but we
so
have
many
them, and they're tangible in the fact that everyone knows who we're talking about,
and there's so many of them if you really think about
right.
it. It's not like it was back in the early 2000s where there
well,
was
it's not
just
like
a handful.
Actual gurus.
No, it's not actual gurus.
No,
it's just people that get on the internet and talk very much so
right.
like we are, but they just they spew these opinions, and some people latch on, and
these things always go poorly. I think about
there's a prime example.
Yes, but
he could be considered technically
for a certain
like a guru
for
a certain
people,
demographic.
Yeah,
those people gravitate towards him, and they go, well, what he says is gospel.
Yeah.
And I mean,
maybe Bikram is like more of a legitimate example.
You're gonna have to. Who's Bikram?
He's the guy who like invented hot yoga.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Not invented, but adapted
I know what you're talking
for
about,
America.
Though. I know what you're talking about, though. I knew the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Didn't know why.
So, like, he was thought of as a guru, but it ended up being that, he was sort of, like, molesting and taking advantage of the female students that he had in his classes.
How fucking crazy is it that seems to be a thing? Power
corrupts totally, and it always will. Every single time.
I don't know about that.
Who is it not corrupted? Think about
I think the ones that it can't corrupt maybe get shot or disposed of in some way.
That's fair.
Because there could be a strong argument.
But it's not like they're
multiple
infallible
sides.
people.
But, well, I don't know. Everybody, so me sitting here in this chair.
Yeah.
Right? I would like to think that you could give me all the power in the world and I wouldn't become corrupt. But at the same time, I'm also a logical human being. And so I tend to get myself in trouble almost with myself by thinking too logically and being too in touch with the fact that I am a human and am capable of making errors. And so I would love to believe that I would never take advantage of the power that I have, because I've never taken advantage of the power that I have had up to date.
Right, but you've also never had power in the sense of what we're talking about.
Right.
Which is a completely different experience.
100%. And so, like, that's what I was going to say, is, like, I would like to think that I would be the same person that I am now if in 5 years I was running a Fortune 500 company and had millions and millions and millions of dollars. But
here's the thing. There's something sort of like universal and karmic about what we're discussing right now, because here's a great example. Fiddler on the Roof. If I were a rich man, da-da-da-da. So,
you fucking love that movie.
That whole song, though, is just about what we're talking about. It's going, God, I'm righteous. If only you were to bless me with this amount of money, I would do it better than anyone else. Those people never get rich. You know why? Because they expect it. They're pompous in their own ideology. They go, I am so this, I am so this, I'm a good shepherd. Why is this bounty not being given to me? And then you look at other people who do have wealth, never asked for it. It just falls onto them. And they're not even necessarily deserving of it. But it works that way.
I mean, or they work their fucking ass off for it.
So there's two ways to do it. Either you earn it earnestly and you work your ass off and you're really smart about how you save your money and how you reinvest.
So we're taking away the people. We're taking the people out of the equation that say that they work their ass off but
are actually
a $500,000 loan to help them start up their...
Yeah, or like a certain friend that I will leave unnamed that, takes out a bank loan every time they need a little bit extra cash. Like... There's just certain things that are not smart principles to financially guide your life.
That is a fucking terrible principle.
Yeah. But more so, there's other people, I think, and I've seen this in my own personal life, who I might feel are undeserving. But they got there because they were unassuming to begin with. No one ever had to tell them to do anything. And no one ever had to ask them to do anything. And they never asked anything from anyone else. They just exist. And things happen to funnel to them.
I don't know, man. The older I've gotten, I kind of... It's not like I'm super old. I'm 27. But, like, I kind of just...
Older than me.
Everybody has choices to make. They're handed a deck of cards. And that's it, man. Life doesn't owe you shit.
No.
Life is... Nothing about life is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, just to circle back and touch on what I said earlier is I'm not mad at the 1% that can buy Ferraris because that's great, man. Drive a fucking Ferrari. I don't give a shit. That's a materialistic object.
Yeah.
My little FRS will get me from point A to point B just as well as your Ferrari will, if not better. Mine's more reliable.
Probably better. Yeah.
Mine's more reliable.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that, man. I'm not mad at you for living in a mansion, and I'm not mad at any of that. I am mad at the way we have came to be, which is now it costs an absurd amount of money to live a life where you can really soak in the planet that you live on. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's people that live and die in Tennessee. Never
see anything else.
Never see anything else, and that to me is depressing. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't, but a lot of them do. A lot of them do.
Some of them have dreams, and life just does not go their way.
That's why. Like, and again, to circle back on, I told this to my parents one time. I was like, listen, I get that I have a good job. A good salary, but comfortability never got anybody anywhere but exactly where they are right now. And that is cold
so
hard
true.
truth, man. It is. If you're happy with where you're at, great, but I'm not. I want more. And that's what I was saying earlier. Not necessarily more materialistically. I just want more as an options.
Right.
I want to be able to live my life.
Yeah.
I want to be able
That's
to
fair.
afford to take my family to places that I never got to see growing up. Not that I didn't have a great childhood, because I did.
Yeah.
But I want more than we go to Florida once a year. Right. I want to be able to take my family to Greece.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take my family to Italy.
Yeah.
I want to experience all of this. And outside of that, I want to get to a point where I could even buy my mom or my stepdad or my dad a fucking house if I want to.
Right.
That's as materialistic as I want to be. Is enough money to where I can take care of the people that I care about.
Yeah. And I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think the way that you actually make money and become powerful and don't end up being corrupted by the power, is cold, honest work. That's the only way to do it. Because that's the only ethically. Well, it's the only way you've earned it. Anything else is by proxy of your good fortune. And that good fortune may or may not be deserved. So if you look at it as a karmic thing, you live a decent life, you try your best, you hope that good things happen to you.
Right.
Now, for a small percent of the population, that might mean wealth. It might also mean family. It might mean abundant joy to the fact that you would never want for anything else. Might not be monetarily wealthy, but you're wealthy internally.
Right.
The only way to have all of that tied up in a bow is to work incredibly hard at a specific goal, not stop until you reach it, and then look back at everyone else who didn't follow you there and go, you could have this too.
Yeah.
And I am the example for how to continue to lift yourself in an upward trajectory. Not saying that either of us are there at this point, not saying that we ever will be, but I think that's the way you have to do it. I don't know anyone that has made it honestly and didn't have a party of supporters behind them.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, when they say it takes a village, dude, I never even heard that phrase until Grace got pregnant. It takes a village, because they always say it takes a village to raise a child.
Raise a kid, yeah.
But honestly, it takes a village to make a dream come true.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it really does. Like it's I don't know, man. There's so much.
So let me ask you a question.
All right.
Because I ponder this a lot as a Christian myself. I think about...
Oof, I love where this is going. So just as a brief rundown for the potential audience.
Yes.
Red is a Christian.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Yes.
In the short of it. Because I know a lot of people don't like being labeled a Christian because they're like, okay, well, it's more than just that. But...
I'll give a very short summary of how I feel.
Or religious is what they don't like. You're religious, right? Okay, yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, which I even don't like that very much. I think the clearest, here we go. This is how I actually feel about it.
Okay.
I think that the whole human story, every great tale that we've ever had, every law that's ever been made, all kind of go back to a rule set that was put forward and a belief system that was put forward by early monotheists, meaning Zoroastrians, Gnostics, early Jewish cultures. Even so far as to say the Egyptians at certain points when they adhered to monotheism, which happened several times throughout the Old Kingdom. All of their stories, from the Epic of Gilgamesh through to different flood myths and things like that, they all resemble the same kernel of truth. Beyond that, I think that not only are there too many universal truths that tie themselves back to monotheism, but that monotheism in and of itself really is one system that has been shared to multiple religions. So a thought experiment that I give a Christian psychology class that I teach, is take Jesus out of the Christian religion, because that's obviously where we get the Christ part of Christian, which, little history lesson, Christians was a derogatory term. That was slander back in the day of Jesus, because what it meant was you're a little Christ.
You looking at me? Did I dribble?
A little bit.
I thought I felt it, and then I saw you look, and I was like, I did. I dribbled. Right,
only a little bit. It was a derogatory term to mean that you are a little Christ. Like, you're not as good as him. You're just like this little pedantic nothing that follows around this guy.
Now that I know that, I can kind of hear it.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh, Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that term really was slang back in the day, and was slanderous to a lot of people. So the way that it works, though, is if you take Christ out of the religion, if you take Muhammad out of Muslim and Islamic culture, and if you disregard the fact that there is a lack of a prophet, or the actually many prophets in Catholicism and Judaism, you end up with exactly the same religion across all fronts. The only thing that changes is the prophet that's associated to the religion, which is why I just think there's too much evidence historically for it to not be true. But then on top of that, I particularly choose to be a Christian because I think that it's the most pure form of all of those religions.
Okay. So
historically speaking and scientifically,
you don't necessarily adhere to the Bible in the sense of this is the 100% true story. You more so are like,
it's a historical
there was a teacher, but your personal beliefs, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but your personal belief is there's too many similarities throughout human existence.
Right.
Too many documented stories.
Yes.
To deny the fact that there was a teacher of some sort.
Yes.
Regardless of his name, there was a teacher.
Right.
And there was a creator.
Right.
You just choose to go the Christian route.
Right.
Because it makes the most sense to you.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That
makes a lot of sense.
I would 100% agree with that.
That makes a lot of sense.
So when I call myself a Christian, what I effectively mean is that I believe in the Bible as what it is. I take it as what it is. I am not a young earth creationist.
Thank God, man, because I work with one. That's a different topic for a different day.
Yes, it is.
We might even try to have him on here because he's
that would be fun.
Great guy.
There's a lot of bad science in that.
There is. It's interesting.
Here's the other thing. Science and religion should not be enemies. Ever.
Well, they shouldn't be. No.
Well, and this is a whole tangent.
Just keep on the track that you're on, and then we'll get there. Keep on the track that you're on, and then we'll get there.
I just hate that Christians don't fund science the way that we did in
so
the
we've
Renaissance
lost the
period.
path that we were on.
No. Okay, so the path that I was on was the thought experiment of take the prophet. No, we did that.
Yep.
What was the thing before that? How do we get to why I'm a Christian? I don't even remember why we started talking about that.
I gave you my explanation of why I think that you're here, which is you believe through time, right? Through human existence, there's always been, through all the stories, there's always been a teacher.
Right.
There's always been a creator.
Yeah, but that's
Jesus and God.
What was the thing before that, though?
Well, I don't know because you were going to say it. I don't know. But what I said to lead you to it was... No, just fucking with you.
I knew you didn't remember.
Yeah, no. What I said to lead you to that was, so you believe all that, and then that's why you adhere to the Christian religion because it makes the most sense to you.
Right.
And you said, yes, I 100% agree with that.
Yes.
It does make the most sense to me because...
Yes. Well, I did answer all that.
Yeah.
I just don't remember how we got to why I'm a Christian in the first place. There was a specific thing about the wealth and all
Let's
that
backtrack
junk.
real quick.
Okay.
So Red, obviously, you got his side of it, right? So that's what he is.
Yes.
Me, I was raised in a Christian family, and I don't mean I was raised in a Christian family where it was like super like because a lot of people, whenever they find out that I was raised in a Christian family and now I'm not a Christian, they're like, oh, well, you must have been raised in the type of household where it was forced upon you, and that's why you don't adhere to it. That's why. And I'm like, no, it's really not. I have great parents. They're very logical, real human beings.
Yeah.
My mother loves Jesus.
Yeah.
But at the same time is not fucked up with having some wine and having a good time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I don't think you should be either.
I mean, granted, obviously, we're sitting here drinking together.
Yeah.
So that's just the house I grew up in, man. Everybody in my family went to the same church. It was a little place called Grace Place, actually.
Hilarious.
And I remember always wanting to be baptized, right? And my mom always told me, she was like, I don't want you to be baptized until you're ready for it. I want you to know what it means.
Move. Yeah.
It's not like Catholicism where you're baptized at birth.
Right.
She was like, I want you to understand what you're doing when you do it.
Yeah.
I went to church camp. I did all the stuff. I did all the stuff to lead up to my baptism.
Right.
I was baptized at 13.
Yeah.
At 14.
Same.
Crazy.
Yeah.
At 13, I was baptized. At 14, I completely questioned everything out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, man. I was just like, I don't think this jives with me, and I'm not one of those people though that I love talking about religion with people.
Yeah.
I am not one of those people I will never say God's not real, because I am nothing but a mere human on this earth, just like everybody else, and I know nothing outside of this earth and what we can comprehend. And
I mean, you're like a very technical agnostic.
Yes. I personally do not believe in the biblical God.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that he doesn't exist, because I can't prove that he does or doesn't.
No, yeah.
That's the only difference. I could die right now and be
experiment.
Presented into the pearly gates, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I was wrong. Hey, man, I was joking about all that, right? Like...
Well, see, that's the other thing, is this presumption of dogma.
Something smells good, bro.
I know.
Do you smell that?
Yeah.
She down there cooking,
Grace
man.
is,
No, she's just real quick. She's down there making some homemade garlic roasted tomato soup. Oh, you'll get a couple spoonfuls before you leave.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, you'll get a couple spoonfuls. I'm back on the keto, so I can't eat it.
Good boy.
Oh, yeah, good. Why? Was I getting too fat for you? You didn't want me on camera? You didn't want me on camera because I was such a heavy body, you piece of shit?
I like you to be confident in yourself.
I'm a lot more confident when I'm not eating carbs, I'll tell you that.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Today's a bad day for my confidence. I've got like several big open sores on my face from picking at pimples. So.
Where?
Right there on my nose.
Nobody can see that.
I got one right there.
Thank God nobody could see that either, because I could barely see it. Until you turned into the light, I genuinely didn't even notice it.
That's nice.
Yeah, I've already made the decision, though, that Fridays are for us.
Yes.
Fridays, we're going to drink good beer together.
Cheers.
I'm not going to subject us to we have to drink Corona seltzers because it's best for my diet.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, we'll drink good beers together, man. This is for us.
I love that.
But let's continue.
Yes. So... You are highly agnostic. I think that's a really good definition.
Well, I do actually believe in something.
Okay, let's hear it. Is it the flying spaghetti monster?
Please let it be. I like, it's so weird, man, because like if you know me as a person, and like, well, you know me too well as a person to where like you're like, if you expect it, then don't expect it, because I'm all over the place.
Well, I think I know what you're gonna say, but yeah, go ahead.
I personally believe that we're all connected in some way.
Here we go.
Yeah, here it is.
He's watched Moon far too many times.
Moon?
Yeah.
Moonfall?
No, Moon. It's the Sam Rockwell movie. It's directed by David Bowie's son.
Nope.
It's about an astronaut.
Never seen it.
Who gets abducted. And he eventually finds out that every soul is his soul that just keeps regenerating.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Pretty close to what I believe.
Yeah,
well that debunks that fucking theory. No, so like...
No, because I know what you believe. And it's...
Well, you and I have talked about it.
Well, you sent me the article, too, and that...
The Egg.
Yes, which was...
The short story, The Egg.
Which is written by one of the writers from the Half-Life game series.
You're fucking with me.
No,
Are you serious?
Dead serious, yeah.
It's a beautiful story.
It really is. Yeah.
I say story because there's no way to prove anything.
No, but it's a wonderful thought experiment.
Oh, it is.
And so...
Oh, it is.
Perfect in it's like a chess game with the mind. I love it.
What I personally believe in the long and short of it is there's too many universes, too many galaxies. This space and time extends so much further than our comprehension.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't think it's fair to us as a species to prescribe a certain thought process. And so that sounded like a lot of fancy words, but in the short of it, I just simply mean I don't think that anybody on Earth has ever known, unless it was a lucky guess, what happens after we die.
I think you would.
I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. If anything, I believe in reincarnation, but not in the Buddhist sense, because Buddhists only believe that you reincarnate on Earth. And you know why they thought that? Because they didn't know other galaxies fucking existed whenever it first came to be.
Yes.
And so, dude, I don't know where I'm going to end up when I die. I just hope it's somewhere cool, you know?
That's fair.
But I don't think it's heaven, and I don't think it's hell, and I don't think it's the ground either. I know that my body ends up in the ground, but dude, and a lot of people say the hard up atheists, though, are not even atheists. Oh, no, the atheists. I'm sorry, because I'm more so agnostic than anything. Yeah. But the hard up atheists, they're very keen to tell you, man, you die and you end up in the ground, and that's it. You're just turned off. You're like a dead Game Boy.
It's
too easy.
Yeah, it's the Neil deGrasse Tyson bit, which is... the universe gave you nothing before you were born. Why would it be obligated to give you anything after you die?
Which is a beautiful...
Great statement.
Great statement.
However...
Ooh, I can't wait to tell you my favorite quote. Keep going.
All of human consciousness has been devoted to the idea that this life is not enough to be a complete existence.
Since the dawn of time.
Right.
What are the fucking odds?
I feel like that's enough.
What are the fucking odds?
The fact that that's an innate... part of our biology and our neurological structure.
To look up at the stars and wonder what else is out there. To
question that, there's no way to me that doesn't relate to a grand truth in some way, shape, or form. Now, it might be more on that scale of, sort of an esoteric thought of multidimensional shifting and elevation or de-elevation, and there might be beings and... different things in different dimensions. DMT and psilocybin and ayahuasca might be gateways to these other things. But that doesn't mean that every religion is wrong either. It could be that humans have a really hard time describing things that are so far beyond us.
I'll have to send you the video. My buddy Jelani, and I know that this isn't professional, but shout out Jelani.
Shout out Jelani.
Shout out Jelani. Love him, dude. He's a great guy.
Is he Italian?
Guy. No, he's not Italian.
Shocking.
He's just a straight black dude.
Well, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Black dad. Black mom. Just a black dude.
There's got to be black Italians.
That's you, Jelani. Just a black dude. So he sent me this video.
I feel like he can make great pizza. Just.
Oh, he's great at cooking.
We should have him make pizza
on the show. Maybe we could do like a behind the scenes, a Jelani behind the scenes, and he's just.
Can we do a Jelani
pizzas?
Cooking show where we just cut to him like for 5 minutes out of the podcast?
Dude, listen, can we just name it Jelani Salami?
Yes.
But so he sent me this video, and I wish I could remember the entire name of it. I'm not going to be able to.
It's okay.
Maybe we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But it is essentially, the beginning of it is Horus, Jesus Christ, and another God, and what they have in common.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the video and you listen to the origin story of all these three separate deities,
right,
it's all the exact same.
Which is why I personally...
It's all the exact same.
Right. That's why I don't differentiate between any of the monotheistic religions.
But what's interesting is ancient Egyptian religion is what I'm going to call it. Ancient Egyptian religion was before Jesus Christ.
Yes, but not before the Jewish faiths, the original.
Are you sure?
Cults? Yeah, because when the earliest even talked.
What is
about
the first religion? Do you know?
The Zoroastrians.
I've never even fucking heard of
Pretty
that.
sure
that sounds like someone who believes in another planet. Like you drank the Kool-Aid.
I know, it does.
It sounds like that.
It's actually
sounds like a Waco experiment.
Right. It's sort of the first version of Gnosticism, which is basically normal Christianity, but taken a step further, which is that there is a father, there's the devil, and then there's a Christ-like entity. Then there's one more God above all of them. So there's God of the heaven, sort of like how we think of heaven.
Right.
That is the Yahweh of the Old Testament. That's sort of like...
Love that. Love the Hebrew you just brought in there, yeah.
It's sort of like the grand elder God, if you will, but not the ultimate. Then there's one underneath of him. That would be Jesus, right? Okay. That's sort of like... In Gnosticism and in Zoroastrianism, they believed that Jesus and the Holy Spirit are kind of one and the same, in a sense. Like, was the Holy Spirit in heaven, then could come to earth as a prophecy, as a tangible body. Then there's the devil, who is not the ruler of hell. He is more of like a Loki, chaos-driven character.
Right.
Like a universal jester, bringing misfortune and, naivety to the world. And then the eldest God, the one that comes before and is ruling over all three of those beings, is not the only one of his species, but one of many God entities that rule over different universes. So that's where we start with monotheism, and that would have been in like 200-300 BC when we find the first sort of evidence and records of things like that. So then that delineates further into...
That's a lot of interesting shit.
It goes into the Gnostic Christians, who believed very similarly, but with some different practices and dogma.
Right.
And then you also have people who believe in Thoth, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and the account of Hermes Trismegistus, which would have been sort of like early Greek influence in the way that like Socrates and Plato would have like recounted these stories. Mm-hmm. But we don't know if Hermes was a real person. Hermes, in fact, is probably more a title given to certain people that were thought to be sort of like magical in the sense of having more knowledge than an average person.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Hermes being a person.
I know. Well, the same thing with...
like the OG doctor who's just trying to heal people. Right. And like, you know the story of Hermes.
Oh, totally.
Like, based on mythology, but...
Well, and same with Imhotep.
Yep.
Of the ancient Egyptians. He came out of the sands and had no beginning and no end.
Right.
Lived to be older than a normal man. Brought about huge innovations in the old kingdom of ancient Egypt. However, we have archaeological evidence to suggest that he was in fact a real person, and that Imhotep did in fact exist. So there's been certain people who operate in these like magic practices throughout time that have been considered to be elevated on a certain level. And Hermes recited the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is effectively the first time we get the idea of as above, so below.
By the way, killer movie.
Oh, yeah.
What a great film that was.
Great movie. Great
Honestly,
movie.
One of the best horror genre. Yeah. I'll use parentheses because
it's not...
I think it's more than that.
It is.
It was advertised as a horror
genre. It's a genre film, but...
Yeah, it's much more than that. I think that was such a... I mean, it's honestly one of my favorite horror genre movies.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
Excellently
Agreed.
written and directed. And,
yeah. It's awesome.
But anyway.
Well, so, but Thoth kind of goes on to from Hermes' account,
right,
which was recounted by Socrates.
Yes.
The original Emerald Tablets of Thoth would have been something along the lines of, as above, so below. We all came from these sort of people, and that civilization was far more advanced than where we had to restart. So that's sort of like the whole Graham Hancock assumption, if you will.
Yep.
With the Younger Dryas and all that stuff.
Yep.
That's sort of where we get the Thothian morality and genealogy going forward. But it seems to be at that divide where you have Thothian ancient Egyptian religion and also Christian monotheism at the same time. But I think technically Zoroastrianism came before either of them. And Zoroaster was a prophet, and he was the original founder of monotheism as we've come to know it.
Well, I'm interested to do a lot more research into that in my spare time, honestly, because that sounds crazy. That sounds like very not crazy in like a out of this world thing, but just like
it's not aliens. But
no. I just mean like I've never heard of it, and so it sparks a lot of interest for me personally.
And this is my complaint. This is why when I say that I'm a Christian, I clarify certain things.
Right.
Because 90% of people who sit in a pew on a Sunday morning have not done enough research in their own religion to even understand why they believe the things they do. They blindly accept everything, which is the wrong way to go into any situation, regardless of if it's religion or a faith-based thing or not.
What I personally love about roughly our age group is, and you know who I'm talking about when I'm going to say this, is
I'm sure I know.
Nowadays, I feel like we're moving more to the sense of it's Christianity nowadays is not the same as it was 30 years ago.
No, but we wouldn't have wanted that either necessarily, because in the 80s style of Christianity, it was sort of like tent revivals and charismatic preachers.
Right. Well, okay, but charismatic, but in a dangerous way.
Right.
Versus nowadays, we have people...
Well, I would argue it's still dangerous, just different
it can still
different
be dangerous,
veneer.
but there's a lot more open-mindedness in Christianity. So, for example, someone who's a very close friend of both of ours... Shit, Jesus Christ. I can think of his wife's name right now.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Come on, man.
What's his wife's name?
Devin.
Oh, Chad.
Yeah. Chad. I kept wanting to say Chris for some reason.
Close.
Yeah,
it's
Chad,
CH
man.
name. Yeah.
Chad is an excellent pastor. He's the best. And
Chad's
he's somebody
great.
that you can legit go out and
yeah.
shoot pool with and have a couple of beers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's just a great dude.
Just a great human being.
Or if you go to Experience.
Right.
Have you been to Experience?
I go there every week.
Because you go to Mayday Brewery or because you go to Experience?
It started as a Mayday thing.
Right. And then you kind of trailed in there. So you know Pastor Corey.
I've met him on a few occasions.
Okay. So you know who he is.
Yeah. I sit there every week. I'm there every Sunday.
No shit?
Yeah. I love the Experience. It's Bowen in I's church. We tithe there.
I did not know that, buddy. I'll meet you there. I'm not even religious. I love y'all and I love Corey. I would meet you there.
Please come to the Experience with us, because
I'm not gonna believe anything.
It doesn't matter.
He's a good dude, man. He's funny.
It's the only church that I'll go to at this point.
He's a genuine guy.
Yeah.
He's a funny dude. This is coming from someone, coming from me, who is...
We're plugging the Experience Community Church right now.
I will plug Experience. If you are a person who practices religion, and I know religion is a skeptical word for Christians,
if you just call it monotheism,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you like God, if you like Jesus,
yes.
Yeah, even I'd put my name on Pastor Corey, dude.
I know.
He's just a good, wholesome guy.
He's just a great person.
They don't judge you.
No.
You could walk in a fucking Speedo and they would let you sit in the front row, dude. Genuinely, they don't give a shit. Okay, don't do that, though.
don't.
Yeah, don't make a point of it.
You want to know what's funny? The first time I even heard about that church was I was going to a different church, which I won't name, but one of the pastor's kids that I was friends with, don't do it.
Yeah.
One of the pastor's kids that I was friends with,
MD?
Yes.
Yeah.
Said, we went to the experience one night just to try it out, and there was some kid there in a Halloween mask, and it just made us feel like the presence of God wasn't really there. And
that's a dangerous thing to say.
It's disgusting when I heard that. But what it made me think was, I'm going to go to that church someday.
Yeah.
Just to see what it's like.
Good.
Because I was thinking, like, this is like the crazy church. Like, let's go see what this is about.
Well, you know what the real crazy church is.
Yes.
we won't call you out by denomination.
We won't call you out, but we know who you are.
Yeah, chill out with the fucking rattlesnakes.
Yeah. Well, you know. That's some Appalachian boys. They just got to get a good serpent in their hands.
Right, we're going to be walking around downtown Nashville handing out flyers for the show and get a fucking snake thrown at us.
Yeah.
God smites you.
I can dodge a snake. It's a straight line. You're good.
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's funny. That's actually really funny. That just caught up with that.
Yeah. You move an inch and you're fine.
You're good.
So I always bookmarked that church as like, oh, I should definitely go there just to try it out at some point. Well,
even just for research.
Right, yeah. So Poem and I got together, and we both had kind of been hurt by different churches, and were looking for something that, like...
So crazy how many people I've talked to that are in
that situation, exactly.
Yeah, where they're like, churches have hurt me.
Right.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, because me, as a person who's not a theist, I've never been hurt by people who don't believe.
You want me to...
But I have been hurt by people that do believe.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing to me.
Well, you know, in the Bible...
But when I say that, I don't want you or anybody else to think that that's why I don't believe.
No.
Like, that's not what it is.
No, you have your own whole thought process about it. And
right.
I respect that wholeheartedly. But there is a difference between the way... It's like the whole Catholic guilt thing.
Okay, yeah.
When a lot of Christians step over a line. In the Bible it says not to judge anyone unless they are a true believer. The only reason you get to judge them is because you have to hold each other to the same standard.
You're holding each other accountable.
Right, exactly. If that belief is not present in that individual, you are supposed to love them above yourself. Christians don't do that. What Christians do is look at what other people are doing wrong, say, I'm better than you, and then judge them for it, which is the most ass-backwards way of interpreting anything that Jesus or God has to say in Scripture about how to treat other people.
Which I agree with, and I've always had a problem with, but that's actually really funny. I feel like last week I tried to touch on this video, and I... still can't remember the guy's name. I remember his competition's name, which is so funny, but he's just got such a catchy name. His name was the Cosmic Skeptic.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, so I know his name. His name's Drew, the guy that runs the other channel. His name is Drew. But he runs another channel, and he came out with a video, and it was, how do I get to hell in every religion? How am I destined to go to hell in every religion? Do you briefly remember? Yeah, so you should watch it because it's very interesting. Because it's exactly what you just said, which was you don't have a right to judge someone, or not even a right, but like it's not fair to judge someone who's not on the same playing field as you.
Right, exactly.
If you and I are both Christians, devout Christians,
right,
and then you do something unholy, I can go, hey, man. That was wrong. You need to correct yourself.
Yeah.
But based on the true word, if you and I disagree on our religious views and I'm doing something that you disagree with, all you have to do is move on. Right. Ignore me.
Doesn't affect me at all.
Because I'm beyond being saved because I'm not... And it's not in the sense of where I'm doomed. It's in the sense of I can't be punished if I have never had the chance to believe in it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not even if you know about it. That was the interesting thing that I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's not even like a lot of people like, well, if you've heard of Jesus, then you can be doomed by denying Jesus. Condemned. It's actually not that easy. It's more so like you have to know Jesus, study the word of Jesus, and actively say, not for me.
Right.
So me personally, straight to hell.
Yes.
Straight to hell.
I was thinking about this earlier today.
How did this turn into a religious podcast? But let's keep going. It's interesting. I like it.
So I was thinking earlier today about the idea of like will and ambition as part of the human soul and just like psyche in general.
Free will?
Well, yes, but the will to make happen. The will to do.
So like almost law of attraction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Big LOA fan.
Take the law of attraction. Multiply that towards an eternal reality outside of human consciousness and into a life after death scenario.
Okay.
What happens to all that ambition? Are there things to improve upon in the afterlife? Because it's always been said, heaven's perfect, right? But at the same time, we also find things not only in the Apocrypha, which are the books that were removed from the Catholic Bible, but also we find it in the canonical Bible, where it says that when we go to heaven, we will all create in a mass of song, which is actually, I guess, the most culturally significant version or analogy of that statement is in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series. The way that the earth and the heavens were created were a choir in heaven singing all of these things into existence, which I think is also really interesting because when you look at DMT accounts of like trips, everyone talks about how speech is what creates things in that realm. You talk things into existence, or the machine elves talk things into existence, or sing things into existence. I think we're made in God's image. God creates, thusly we create, which is why we're so fascinated by art and ability to generate more, better, newer. And I don't think that stops when you die. I think that there's going to be, like it says in the Bible, a new heaven and a new earth. But what that is all of us simultaneously being linked in sort of a Buddhist, ethereal heaven where we're all souls singing and praising and creating from our own tongues, in unison as a choir.
I love how you mix traditional and also new age interpretation to your belief system.
I think
it's very important.
It's the only way to do it.
I think it's very important. I really do. Back then, obviously, all you had was traditional. Even if we're talking 50 years ago, that's all you had. Anything outside of that was blasphemy.
Yes.
So I can understand
Christ, Presbyterian, right. Baptist. That was kind of.
I can understand why they were stuck with that.
Yeah.
But I love that while even I don't prescribe to it, I do love that it's a more welcoming, opening thing.
Well, that's how it should be.
But it just, I don't want this to be the takeaway from what you said.
I don't know that I, know anything super great. I just
no. But you said, you saying that we're all made in God's image made me think of a rap lyric.
Let's hear it.
That I came up with a long time ago, back when I was rapping.
Okay, you want to hear? I'll tell you one of mine after.
I had a lyric where it was. Essentially, I'm not gonna say what the rap lyric was, but the premise of it was, I'm a mirror image of God. I'm a DOG because it's a 180.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
So I was like, I'm a mirror image of God. I'm a DOG.
That's that's a smart verse or
lyric. It's a smart bar.
Smart bar. Yeah.
And maybe I'll do something with it one day. Who knows? I still like to. I still honestly, dude. I still throw on type beats. Yeah, I go on YouTube and I'll throw on type beats.
I do that, and I am not a rapper.
On the way home from Nashville, dude. I will spend I drive when I'm coming back from Nashville to Murfreesboro. It takes me about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I spend about 30 of those minutes every day, almost, at least every other day. Freestyling.
Good.
Just because I want to stay sharp.
I was about to say, it's so good for your mind.
Just because I want to stay sharp.
Yeah.
Just because eventually, for example, we're gonna have rappers on this podcast that we're interviewing.
Yeah.
Not even interviewing, just getting to know, just like hanging out with, and getting to know and like getting their name out there. And I want to be able to like relate. You know what I mean? Like I still love freestyling. I still go back and listen to the 3 good songs that I ever wrote and have recorded. I've written more than that, but recorded, I only have 3 recorded. And obviously I'm going to be my biggest fan. You know what I mean? Biggest fan, biggest critic. That's me. So
it's fair.
Yeah, but that is, I want to find a way to incorporate that in like an actual song, because I do. I think I agree. I think it's a clever bar. Like, I'm a mirror image of God. I'm a DOG. Yeah. And I feel like it would fly over a lot of people's heads that wanted not
enough for it to not be marketable, though.
No, it's marketable, but a lot of people wouldn't want to be okay with that. You know what I mean? That's like a blasphemy.
Oh, yeah. Coming from the Christian, you want to hear my blasphemous lyric?
Let's hear it, dude.
So, this was when I was not as Christian. This was in my sort of rebellious phase.
This is when he was finding his path.
Indeed.
Straight away and was in the process of finding.
Yes. So I was just a constant pothead at this point. And I had a shitty old Buick LeSabre. It was tan and it was disgusting.
Champagne.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes. Might as well have been fucking khaki by the time I got to it. The thing
it
looked
was
like a pair of Dockers.
Nasty champagne color.
Yeah. So I made a song called Buick, and the whole song was about me rolling around in my piece of shit mobile and loving it, because every rapper talked about how they had a Lambo or so. Like, this was around the time where like Motorsport had just dropped, like the Migos song.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna do an anti-Motorsport.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with the rest of that song. But one of the lines that I put in that song was, Christian girls only like... No, it's Christian girls only need God until they find a dick in real life. And it was...
Damn.
It was like this whole thing of like, basically you're making God your daddy because you're so in need of some sort of approval.
But I could be your daddy.
But you get a good dick and then you'll be fine. That was like the consensus of the bar.
Holy shit, dude.
I just knew so many girls like that who were like fake Christians. Like, they would go to youth group.
They would so different as rappers, though.
Oh, I know.
You and I.
I know.
So different as
Not
rappers.
Not even close. I got like that Biggie Smalls, like slow and steady flow.
You better be careful with the whole comparing yourself to Biggie Smalls on camera.
Okay, I mean, I'm not nearly as good. I'm not even a rapper. I suck. I'm just saying, like...
Whoa, no. Don't put yourself down.
Okay.
Don't talk about my boy Red like that.
I'm just saying, if I was gonna be compared to anyone flow-wise...
It would be motherfucking Biggie Smalls.
Or, like...
No, stand strong.
Well, I'm thinking of other... Like, Mos Def, maybe. Like, that kind of, like, slow and steady.
No, I get what you were saying from the get-go.
No, I know you do. I'm clarifying for them... Because somebody in the comments is going to be like...
Did this motherfucking white boy just say
that's about it?
Get the fuck out of here, dude. Yeah, somebody says, hey, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you know.
Fuck your mother.
Sukala mink.
Yeah.
Best turn of phrase of all time.
Oh, shit, dude. That's good, man. That's good.
All right. Is that the Just After Midnight podcast?
Man, I think that's just... Yeah, I think it is. I think that's the Just After Midnight podcast. I think that's a wrap.
I have one more thing I want to talk about.
All right, let's talk about it. Wait.
It's the thing we've been trying to talk about for 2 weeks now.
I'm going to go piss real quick. And
then
Yes, again. I need another beer, too. I'm going to go piss real quick, and then we'll get into this.
I'm going to prompt it while you pee.
You prompt it. I'll be able to hear you.
I should hope so.
You prompt it.
I'll prompt it.
We'll get into it.
Yes.
And then that's it.
Yes. We'll cut it after this. Okay. So.
Oh, God.
Dalton and I, for a few weeks now, have been trying to get to this topic of conversation because we both think that it's a really entertaining point, but we've not found like a natural way to bring it up, per se. Poem and I have been rewatching The Walking Dead, and Dalton has been watching, what is it?
Z Nation.
He's been watching Z Nation on Netflix. So what we thought would be great, and I think we both still find this to be a really attractive line of dialogue for us to have, is what would we both individually do to survive the apocalypse? What is our bug out strategy? Now, I'm gonna do a slight caveat on this and say that Dalton is a manly man, and I am not classically known for being that per se. But when I was about in 8th or 9th grade, my public library invited, and this is not knocking these people because I'm sure that they were passionate about the subject. However, I think they were a little ill-equipped for the particular role they took on, which was that they came to the public library to talk to all of these late middle school, early high school kids about surviving a possible zombie apocalypse. But of course, they were men and women that you would find in a comic book shop that were roughly 600 pounds and could barely chamber around in the shotgun they brought with them. So they had a very, very thought out method for surviving the zombie apocalypse, and they brought all of their weaponry with them and things of that nature. And let's just say it was a very interesting afternoon at the library. But ever since that happened to me in 9th grade, I've been pondering this thought of how would you indeed survive a zombie apocalypse? Although I will say, you and me both came up at the time when Left 4 Dead, Dead Rising were huge games on the Xbox 360 and PC.
Listen,
I'm sure we both played them to no end.
If anybody in power ever hears this, if we could just bring back the Left 4 Dead series.
Oh my God.
That is one of the greatest first-person shooters
ever. One of the best cooperative games that's ever been made.
All right, we need to stop there as far as the game goes.
Yes.
But I think the most important question anytime it comes to a zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Because
it happens.
People
bring this up.
This makes my answer is what kind of zombies are we talking about?
Oh, slow.
Because if we're talking about I Am Legend zombies, I'm putting a bullet in my own head.
Those are vampires.
Those motherfuckers even come at me, bro. If I hear anywhere near me, I'm done. I'm done.
But also, those are vampires. In the book, they're vampires.
Maybe in the book, but they're made out to be zombies in the movie.
They are in the movie.
Even in Left 4 Dead, the hunters, the ones wearing the hoodies, and they jump on you, bro. If that motherfucker jumps on me, don't even try to save me. Or shoot me. Don't shoot him. Shoot me.
Or the jock.
Oh my God, yeah, because that's a banshee. The witch is a banshee,
literal banshee, and the jock just like picks you up. Yeah.
But if we're talking Walking Dead zombies,
we're talking slow.
We're talking
normal,
beginning Walking Dead before they got inventive.
Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero style zombies.
How long do I think I would survive, or what would be my plan?
What is the plan of survival? Not how long, because the idea would be to live forever. Right. It's just really happenstance after
What's
a while.
the plan from day one? From the second I see it on the news.
Yes. From the jump, what is the idea? What's the bug out?
We're fortunate enough to be in the South. So I know every single person that I personally know, aside from
me,
a very small handful, you included, own guns.
Yes. Yes.
I would bring you with me though. I would try to strongly convince you and Poem to come with me.
Oh, we would definitely be going with you. You say have the guns.
You say that, but you're gonna want to go with your loved ones, and I can't house all your loved ones.
Yeah, but
I can house you and Poem. I can't take Poem's parents.
No.
I can't take your parents.
No.
So I can take you and Poem.
My little sister is the only one that I would be wanting to add to that equation.
I would take your little sister.
Yeah.
She doesn't take a whole lot of room.
No, she doesn't.
She's a
very small person. Yep.
What is she, like 13 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so easy.
Yeah. Lives off her ramen. She's great.
Fortunately. She does. Okay. We'll breeze past that. So
her choice.
It's not a race thing.
It's not. She's chosen this life.
All right. So fortunately, everybody in my family though,
yes,
all guns.
All guns.
Everybody owns guns. Several guns.
Yes.
There's several guns in this house right now. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
So,
I've seen them. They're fun. I like holding them and going.
The plan would be, I would see it on the news and I would go, "Fuck! I wish I would have planned for this." And then I would call my stepdad and I would call my dad and I'd call my mom and I'd be like, "All right, listen, where the fuck is the rendezvous point?"
Yeah,
because obviously we're all meeting up.
It kind of works like a house fire escape plan.
Yeah.
In the very preliminary stages, like in the very first few moves.
Right. And nobody ever plans a zombie escape, you know what I mean? Because what's the likelihood versus only the crazy person, perceived crazy person plans the zombie escape plan, but those are the motherfuckers that are going to come out on top.
Maybe. Because as I just discussed, they're normally sweaty people.
A lot of them are. They're the ones that sit at the table in the high school cafeteria that you avoid walking by. Yeah, but
you need a beer? Yes. A duster is only so inviting after a while.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's not 2003. This is not Matrix 1. You're not fucking Neo, dog. I used to want a duster too, so I can't blame you. But you know what the difference is? Never bought one.
Well, you also have to be under 9% body fat.
You know what else? I used to want a fedora, but guess what? Never bought one.
I'm glad you didn't.
Thank God.
I got some pictures.
But I do love
me.
Frank Sinatra. Anyway, back to the zombies.
Yes.
Let's not trail off too far yet.
I was just gonna say I looked like a fat lesbian.
I think the only plan, though, I mean, really, I could sit here and try to lay out some crazy scheme and all this, that, and the other, but really, the only plan boils down to link up with the people that you trust with your life.
Yep.
Link up with the people that you think are going to pull their own weight, because that's the most important part. This is now a survival situation. This is no longer just bring the people that you love.
Right. Well, it's not even survival,
friends-wise, but
yeah. It's not even just survival in like a textbook definition of life versus death. It's survival in the idea of
human civilization.
Identity.
Yeah. So I would bring you and Poem.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with you on several projects, and I've worked.
That's all it takes.
Seriously, it translates. I've worked with you, and I've worked with her on several projects, and so I know the dedication y'all have and the motivation y'all have, and if that's what y'all have towards what you think is your lifeblood now, which is in the entertainment industry, when it really boils down to your lifeblood, which is fucking life, I would like to think that y'all motherfuckers will step up.
Yes. Well, and we would like to think that as well.
If you have to send a goddamn stake through a zombie's head, I fully expect y'all to do that.
That's the easy part. So this is after having watched,
I don't know, man,
a lot of zombie stuff.
Ooh, love zombie stuff. Yeah,
love zombie stuff.
Z Nation's a good one. You need to watch it.
I know.
I told you before we started recording. Z Nation, it's a good one.
Look, I'm gonna go home and get on it tonight. So here's my consensus. The only way that it works is you have to be mindful of two things: zombies and people.
Oh, people are more dangerous.
People are way more dangerous than zombies.
Yeah, especially if they're slow-moving zombies.
And especially if...
That's just a slug.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it's thousands and millions of them. However, you could feasibly exterminate every zombie eventually, because there are only as many zombies as there are people.
And if history's taught us anything, you can kill a lot of people.
You can kill a lot of people.
In a short amount of time.
All I'm saying... This is how it would have to work. You would have to kill enough zombies and enough people to rid an entire country of any cancer in the populace. I'm not talking about some unitarian, idealized version of a utopian society. What I'm talking about is hardcore Marxism, actually. It's It's communism in the sense of a rebuilding strategy. It's saying we are all going to work together in this very ground level in order to make sure that we can sustain enough to where we can become capitalist again. But you can't have that unless you restart civilization totally.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to eliminate all the zombies in a certain area and all the people who are egregious in a certain area.
Holy shit, dude. I don't want to get political at all.
Yeah.
But you just rang bells for me. So, in the beginning stages, you have to be a socialist.
Yes.
Capitalism is
dead as soon as an apocalypse happens.
Well, capitalism is, in a sense, the only word I can think of is blessing. It's not a blessing. It's like an allowance, right? Like it's like capitalism is like fuck, dude. I can't think of the word, man. But we'll just use the word blessing. But everything starts off as socialism, right?
Yes.
Like if you go back to the tribes,
or
for
bartering,
example, but it's all the same thing, because it essentially is hunters, gatherers. You know, you've got your tent doctors.
I think every economic system stems from a bartering system, but you have sort of the fork in the road of do I go socialist or do I go capitalist at a certain point.
I don't even want to say which one I think is the right one.
Well,
we're not there yet.
Let's just say that bartering is not the answer for the apocalypse.
No.
Because...
Well, for the apocalypse, absolutely it is.
No, because everyone has to pull their own weight. If you're bartering constantly, you're
but that's not going to happen. You have but you're looking at it from the mindset of people are going to act like they should, and that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is bartering. Have you ever the book of Eli?
Yeah,
that's closer to what an apocalypse where you're trading cat fat chapstick,
right?
Where he's killing cats and melting the fat down in a chapstick. That is more so what it's going to be than anything else.
Well, yeah, and that's like a very like Fallout look at things.
I guess when I hear apocalypse, I grew up playing Fallout games. Yeah. So like that's what I think of.
But hold on. That's not. So what I'm saying is that's true. Yes. But that's the second step.
But you're more Waterworld.
No. No one is more Waterworld.
I fucking love Waterworld.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I love Waterworld.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
That next episode. I'll watch it and we'll talk about Waterworld.
Oh my god, you've never seen it?
I've never seen Waterworld. I've just heard how terrible it is.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So what I'm proposing is the method would be communism first, which is us 6 people are going to band together to make a fledgling civilization.
Everybody pulls their weight.
Everyone pulls their weight.
On a small scale, it works.
Until... Which is so interesting because The Walking Dead plays this scenario out perfectly.
Perfectly.
Because once you get into, like, the kingdom and Negan and all that stuff, it's just
all
bartering.
Falls apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also all falls apart, which is why I really think the way to circumvent that is to hold on to communism longer than they did. If
you start out with communism works, but you can't introduce communism.
Yes, but at a certain point, communism will always falter because of greed.
Because someone has to be in charge. Right. Everybody looks for a leader, and that's what people don't realize is we're animals, and everybody looks for a leader. Why the fuck do you think every country has a leader?
We need hierarchy. I'm
going to get off my tangent. Go ahead.
No, as a race, we need hierarchy.
It's true, man. People don't want to realize it, but it's true.
It is true. But what that means, though, is what you really are playing at is sort of a Hunger Games scenario, which I don't know if you remember the end of the Hunger Games.
Dude, it's one of the only book series that I ever read.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's awesome. Love the Hunger Games series.
Me too.
Which is funny because, like, I don't read. I've read 4 books that I can remember. Hunger Games, that whole series.
Yeah.
And Let the Right One In.
Oh, that's a
great book.
Great
book.
And great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
So what I predict is you start out with people you can trust. Kill as many zombies as you can. Focus on them. Bring in as many people as you can. When people start fucking up, public executions. Literally bring 100%. Bring back the medieval shit.
I almost think we should bring that back nowadays to a degree.
Show them that they're doing the wrong thing. Then, next platform is, how do we circumvent the whole Negan thing? How do we circumvent the whole idea that there's going to be some sort of dictatorial entity in the apocalypse?
So, I actually stopped watching The Walking Dead after, was it season 3 or 4 that the prison?
4.
Yeah. 4? Yeah. So I quit watching at that.
Gotcha.
Whenever they got out of the prison, I quit watching.
So even the prison is kind of a good example of what we're talking about here, which is that...
Because that was as close as they got to a small civilization. They had like a home base.
Well,
there was a lot going on.
The next place they go to is after that, like directly after that, is probably the closest thing, but it falls apart quicker than the prison did.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm suggesting is that after all that happens, eventually someone will elect themselves a public leader. And what you have to be prepared for is the idea that it's going to be another ending to the Hunger Games, which is overthrow one person only to assassinate the person who overthrew the corrupt person. Because then you have a blank slate to build up from, and you can actually have some government again.
I don't want to take away from anything that you just said, but in my head, I relived the moment that I saw Michonne.
Yeah. Who is a bad
bitch,
love
dude.
Michonne.
Oh, come on.
I know. Everyone who watches that show is like, oh, fuck
whenever she fucked up.
Yeah.
What was it, the mayor?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched The Walking Dead, and I can't tell you how long. But I just, as you were talking, oh, he sucked. But as you were talking, for some reason, it played in my head as if the first time I ever watched it, where she just took her little sword, fucked homeboy up.
Yeah.
She's what a good scene, dude.
Know.
What a good scene.
So, the last argument I think that we need to have about the apocalypse thing, the zombie apocalypse, for sure. Best weapon. Because this is going to be your partner.
Okay, all right.
Through the apocalypse.
So you're saying if I could only have
a singular
one weapon, and we're abiding by normal world rules, which is once you run out of ammo, you're out of ammo, you have to scavenge for more.
Yes.
Okay.
Or start producing munitions.
That's a lot harder than you think.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to you can't have a Glock on you right now, run out of ammo, and then go, oh, I'll just make more bullets. Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, not without some, like, real metallurgy.
Not with, most 99.9% of people would need at least an empty shell.
Yes.
To create a bullet.
Yes. Which you could scavenge for empty shells, and then you could...
You know how hard that would be,
graphite and gunpowder.
The likelihood,
and stuff like
likelihood of you.
It would become Minecraft very quickly. It wouldn't work well. It would take too much effort, and it would be way too laborious to be a real strategy.
Man,
it's difficult.
Best weapon. I would have to say at that point, I'm gonna kick it back to what we've always gone to when we didn't have guns, and that would be some sort of long blade.
Yeah.
Simply because blunt force trauma is great for a conscious human, but for a zombie, you would have to hit pretty fucking hard.
Well, it's pretty ineffectual unless you do it directly at the dome.
Well, directly at the head, and not only that, but if I have 3 zombies running at me, I'm having to hit the one in the middle super hard.
Then you have one,
and then I have to reset
here.
for the one over here, and then I reset for the one over here. And by the time I hit the one in the middle, the other 2 are already on me.
And the one's behind
you. Yeah, I need something that's like sharp, and then I can continue to sharpen and hone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would probably, if I'm pushed up against the wall and I just have to make a decision, hey, right now, what is the one weapon that you want?
Yeah.
I would have to probably go with some sort of long blade.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to give me like a, hey, what's your beginning What, like, the zombie apocalypse just got announced?
Yeah.
So if the zombie apocalypse just got announced, right?
Yeah, like today's day one.
Today's day one, you kind of have a little bit of time to put your arsenal together. I would say the most important ones, you need a long rifle. Something like, fortunately, I have on hand is an AR-15.
Yeah.
I think that is important. A long rifle. I think a shotgun is a very important weapon in this scenario. Now, I want to say a handgun, but
we got to think about the space, too.
I want to say a handgun. Well, but you got to think a handgun doesn't take up any extra space, really.
No, but you're already carrying 2 rifles. I mean,
you are.
Just the sheer weight of all these guns is going to be...
Yeah, but it's survival. You'll get used to the weight.
Oh, yeah, you'll get used to it. But you got to trek for 15 miles.
I think Daryl had it figured out.
Crossbow?
I think the crossbow replaces the handgun. I think if you really need it, if you really need a bullet and not a bolt, AR-15 is fine.
Fair.
A 223, 5.56, that is more than effective.
Fair.
You can take out any zombie with that. The round is just as easily acquirable as a 9mm. I don't think a sidearm is 100% necessary. I think it would be great to have.
Yeah.
At least somebody on your squad has it. Several people, hopefully. But if I had to pick, I would say long rifle, shotgun.
Well, let's be honest. Tactically, the idea would be melee weapons in the middle, and
you do need a melee
rifles and
I would like to have a machete at minimum.
Yeah, so
maybe AR-15 shotgun machete would be my outfit.
I've thought about this a lot. I think I'm rolling with 2 pocket knives.
You're not smart. You're gonna carry 2 Swiss armies into a fucking zombie apocalypse.
I would want 2 6-inch blade sheathed, very sharp daggers. I guess a dagger would be better than a pocket knife.
I mean 6 inches. Are you talking from hilt to tip, or are you talking 6-inch blade? That's still not very long.
Well, no, but the whole idea is
a dagger's at least 14 inches, right?
Short and quick, though. You don't need much to get to the zombie's brain, but what you do need is the ability to quickly go from one to the other. So while I might only have this as my mode, well,
is that
we're talking slow zombies or Walking Dead style zombies,
right?
I'm just saying I can go. You know, I can laboriously
until there's fucking 15 of them on you.
Well, and you know that's
why you have to have a backup for if you only get 3 weapons.
Yeah.
Which I made up that part, but if you only get 3 weapons as your outfit, 2 of your weapons being pocket knives or daggers, not a solid pick.
I think
if you got 15 fucking zombies on you and you get cornered, imagine if you were Rick, and you were stuck in the tank.
Yeah.
But what if you never made it in the tank? And what if you had to fight your way out of Atlanta? What the fuck are you going to use? 2 pocket knives? Are you Crocodile Dundeeing out there just hoping to God that you can pull it out of one zombie's head to get into another zombie's head? Plus, how hard is it to penetrate a human skull?
It would be like treading water
for
a long time.
You would legit just be fucking hammering away.
It would kind of be like ice climbing.
It would be ice climbing.
Yeah.
But through zombie brains.
But through zombies.
Yeah.
Which... Here's another thing that is a caveat to what we just said.
All right.
Location. Now, if you're in the middle of Atlanta, you're probably going to be facing a horde of at least several hundred people immediately.
So that's why it's important to discuss what kind of zombies.
Well, even if they're slow,
I guess location, considering where we are right now.
So where we are right now, we're fairly fortunate in the fact that if we had to, we could probably make it somewhere more rural.
We're close enough to rural area to where we could get away, but we're also close enough to the populace to where we might get fucked on the way out.
True, but I'm willing to imagine, especially if zombies work the way that we think they do, which they're attracted to noise and bright lights and things like that.
They're all headed to Nashville.
Well, I just think that everyone's going to start blowing up gas stations really quickly. And they're all going to kind of circumvent these huge industrial things. Or, you know, like, I really think that anything explosive is going to instantly, like, get tipped over by a zombie or something like that, because sort of the reason that we are able to have those things in society.
I fucking hope people don't start blowing up gas stations immediately, because we need gas. God damn it, we need gas. I need gas to run my generator. I need gas to run a car to get from point A to point B, or a motorcycle, or whatever you choose as your form of transportation.
I think we're gonna go back to, if this ever happened, I think we would go back to Old West stuff with like steam, charcoal.
Yeah, and I mean,
horses.
It would be sketchy to run a generator, but if I had to run a generator for 15 minutes and stand guard just long enough to jump off a vehicle, then that's what I need to do.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, let's be perfectly honest. No one's going to be looking for a Miata in the apocalypse. Everyone's going to be...
I don't even drive a Miata.
I didn't say you did. I'm just saying that, like, a different sports car. Any sports car is not going to be useful unless you're, like, in a Ferrari that has, like...
Now my car is not useful?
Actually, yours might be a little bit, because...
I'm just fucking with you, dude. I wish I still drove a Miata. I know that's why Miata came to your brain, though, is because I used to drive one.
A little bit. But any car that's, like, on a plane or, like, an incline...
Corvette would be perfect.
Corvette would be great, because you're like a block of cheese. They're just all going behind you.
A C8 with, like, a scoop at the front.
Right, yeah.
Let's call up Wes.
That'd be perfect.
Let's get Wes on our team.
Okay.
Wes would be a good one to have on the team anyway.
Wes is the dictator we have to kill in the apocalypse.
What? No. Because we're tight with Wes.
No,
we would be straight. We would be upper echelon.
I mean, as like a moral entity.
Nah, man, there's no morals in the zombie apocalypse, bro.
Fair enough.
I'm riding Wes all the way to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm taking that gravy train all the way up.
I'm just saying that he's so good at stuff. He would be the Caesar of the new world.
Sure.
He would figure out a way to run the shit.
Oh, I am absolutely positive. He'd be like, I don't know how I got elected to this position, but I'll take it.
And we're all like, we know how you got elected. You're the only one that spoke the fuck up.
Oh man, love Wes.
Love Wes. He's
a smart cat right there.
He's one of a kind. He gives me like Wolf of Wall Street vibes, but like in the most pure, good-hearted sense of the term. Because he's definitely like one of those people that like isn't gonna fuck you over, but at the same time he's gonna point out everything wrong you're doing,
which isn't
and
a
help
bad
you with
thing,
it.
though.
No, it's a great thing. Everyone needs a friend like Wes. Everybody.
I don't want to talk too much about Wes because we're gonna have Wes on the podcast eventually.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, no, we are. We like that's gonna happen. So like, I don't want to talk too much about him because I want him to speak for himself.
Fair.
But
I feel like you and me have both gotten. I feel like we both have adopted mannerisms from Wes over time because he's
100%.
just so good at life.
Well, yeah.
You're like,
no,
I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, we're talking about taking up his profession.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on now.
He's
no.
What?
He's a what?
Just gonna say very domineering individual.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
know where you were going with it, man. I was just gonna say no. We're gonna save it all for when he comes on the podcast.
Yes, we should do that though. Still,
son of a bitch, man. I had a question that I wanted to ask you about all this, and
about the zombie stuff.
I can't remember if it was about the zombies or if it just popped into my mind.
Well,
that was about 15 minutes ago. It's long gone now.
Let's save it for next time.
Yeah, let's save it for next time.
All right. Well, this has been the Just After Midnight podcast. I've been Red.
And I've been Dalton.
Good. Good night.
After midnight.